the Sony State of Play just wrapped up. It did indeed go more than an hour. It was probably like 70-ish minutes. And they did show off a number of different games here. And yeah, it was very third party heavy, which is just kind of Sony's thing for the most part, as they are sort of like the default console, I guess, looking at it now, especially with third parties in mind. But they did have a couple of big first party games here that I wanted to go over, and that's the thing. I just immediate reaction to this. I picked out a couple of big games that really stuck out to me. Tomorrow in Newswave, I'll go over everything that was announced here. If you want just like a line by line summary on it, so make sure you check it out there. But if you guys enjoyed this video, hit the like button, subscribe if you're new. So right off the bat, and I kind of figured they might do this. They just immediately jumped into Wolverine. Like, and they showed off gameplay of it. It seemed like just sort of a mission where Wolverine is going up and trying to save a mutant that was being taken away by like the military or something. So here you are as Wolverine, and he is just laying into everybody. And that's the thing. People were a little concerned about how Insomniac would go about this. Will they have an M-rated Wolverine game? You kind of need it. Well, they put those fears to rest with the initial showing of it, but here they went even further. So them jumping immediately into the gameplay with the iconic yellow costume. You have some stealth, but as soon as he's found, he's just ripping everyone to shreds. I mean, it's like third-person action hack and slash, and there's blood everywhere. Like at one point he was just covered in blood. And I noticed as you were going through they were playing through this part of the game, he's taking damage, of course, getting shot up or punched or slashed or whatever. And like parts of the costume or just his body is getting cut and ripped apart. And so as he's going through, I noticed his health bar was slowly ticking back up. And it makes sense, as we know. Big thing with Wolverine or Logan is he has that regeneration ability, like really accelerated regeneration. So it kind of makes sense that at any time, if you're not taking damage, it's constantly filling back up. And it almost looked like parts of him that were damaged were healing in real time. So I want to see more about that, because that'd actually be really, really cool if as you're playing through, like chunks of Wolverine's flying off, but then also regenerating there. And as I was kind of expecting, there's going to be a bunch of other characters from like the X-Men universe here, as they show Jean Grey, and she had like her psychic abilities that she was using. And I think that's going to work into Insomniac opening up further into the Marvel universe. And at this point, kind of expecting a full-blown X-Men game from them. So I think that would actually be pretty cool. As I mean, just in this just quick snippet of gameplay, you see the big set pieces that Insomniac was become known for after what they did with Spider-Man. Still on track, of course, for September 15th, and they did announce that pre-orders would be live like right away. So with that, they had a bunch of other reveals again from third parties, and they also mentioned Marvel Tokon with some characters. But I wanted to jump ahead to kind of a theme that's happened here, where many, many games are indeed trying to get out ahead of GTA 6, but also I think somewhat trying to avoid like late October, where we're seeing Call of Duty slot in. So it's just based on the fact that the end of September and that early part of October is now crowded with games. We have Onimusha Way of the Sword. That was shown here with the release date of September 25th. That had originally leaked out a bit early, and seemed to line up with, again, everything that was happening with the release schedule as we got closer to GTA 6. But there's also a demo for it, and I'm excited to actually check that out like soon here, because I do like the Onimusha games, and I think it's kind of cool to see the run that Capcom is on right now, really, really leveraging that Ori engine. So I'm just interested to see what they have in store for us with what I think is going to be a slightly different kind of take on Onimusha. And then, so the day before that, Silent Hill Townfall is coming out, and they showed it again, first person kind of survival horror, a little bit of Condemned in there. At least that's the vibe I'm getting from it. That's September 24th. The same day, though, Control Resonance is coming out. And then the week after all of that's going down, Ace Combat 8 is releasing, and they even said that it's going to come out with it's going to come with Ace Combat Zero: The Belkan War. And that'll just be like a pre-order bonus, digital or physical. That's October 2nd. So we're just a run of titles releasing there within like 8 days or so. Again, ahead of a lot of other stuff, I'm sure that's probably getting slotted into October, which I'm sure we'll find out more say with the Summer Game Fest coming up, and most likely a Nintendo Direct of some kind the next week. So it's things are getting crowded here pretty quickly. Okay, so a couple of first party Sony games here that they closed out with, right? So Until Dawn 2, this is Fire Sprite's game. We heard that they were working on a horror game. There was a lot of speculation that they indeed were going to be doing a new Until Dawn, and they are. And so the way that they framed this, they had to explain it a bit because they were showing it out of context, and when they were, it looked like a pretty typical like slasher film, and that's what Until Dawn is supposed to be. So makes sense the second one would be as well. But they put a little bit of a twist on it where apparently this group of friends goes away, and what they do is they go to different spots that you would look at as abandoned or spooky spots, scary spots, and they kind of fake a lot of the footage, and then it seems like they sell it to different companies or just create movies or documentaries, I guess, with quotes, and try and of course ham it up for the camera. But this time though, they run into an actual killer. And then from there you make decisions that, I mean, they show it in real time where one character, she like I guess pushes him off the cliff with her, and he just ends up splatting onto a rock and she falls into the water. They did say that everyone can live, but also everyone can die. So I guess a pure good ending run that you can do, or just a pure bad ending. 2027 though on that one. And then the final closeout here, which was kind of what I was kind of thinking this because it's obviously out of Sony Santa Monica, big time studio for Sony. I mean, if you look around at their IPs, God of War is up there along with things like Gran Turismo, or you could even say now Helldivers, at this point. But God of War has, especially with 2018 and Ragnarok, really cemented itself as a big time seller for Sony. All right. So we heard about this Cory Barlog Faye game that he was going to be doing, as Nate sort of put that out there. Cory was not happy about that, as he mentioned on social media, but they closed out with a 20-minute gameplay session for this. And of course, they're working in like real-time cinematics in the gameplay, as we've seen with God of War, where they don't really have a lot of camera cuts or anything. It's just, hey, you're just following along with them. And so they show the opening part of the game where Faye is being burned, her body. And we know from their God of War 2018, they're supposed to be transporting her ashes, but here it shows her actually waking up in a place, which we find out is the afterlife of the gods. And the combat they showed is just significantly faster. I mean, this is pretty quick to get to combat in this game, considering it was 20 minutes of footage. A lot of stuff happened in those 20 minutes. So it does seem like it's going to be a very fast and frenetic game, just in general, going from point A to point B. But the gameplay, I mean, she's jumping and like, you didn't really do that a lot in God of War at all. But she has like full on air combos. It is indeed people were saying it's going to be closer to like a Devil May Cry. Doesn't look that fast necessarily, but it also looks a lot faster and again more agile than what we had with Ragnarok as like the last example. But the visuals look really good here, and I think people tend to forget that God of War Ragnarok was also a PlayStation 4 game. So this is technically like the first real, God of War game coming out of Sony Santa Monica that is specifically designed for the PlayStation 5 and then also the PlayStation 5 Pro. And I think the visuals really show that, because even just watching it through like a compressed Twitch or YouTube stream, it was still like top tier visuals and presentation. But then also the gameplay with this sword that you get, it has like a ribbon that was talking and said his name was Rue, and then there's like this cube that was also just running into enemies and knocking them around. But it seems like the sword is going to play a pretty big part in the story and the game itself. As you're going through, it seems like with the sword, you're able to push some of these enemies, their souls, out of their body, and then attack that, and then send it back, and they blow up. So I'm kind of curious about how all that's going to work exactly into some of the combat here. But it seems like the whole thing is going to be Faye trying to find her way home back to Kratos and Atreus. The game is called God of War La Faye, which is Faye's like full name. So no release timing on this. Now, again, when I heard about this game that Sony Santa Monica Corey would be working within the God of War universe. I was a bit disappointed because I kind of wanted to see something else come out of Sony Santa Monica, because they really haven't. It's just been it's a God of War studio. So that was, I looked and said, okay, it's something else with God of War, even though I know it's a very successful franchise for Sony. Seeing this, I'm like, okay, it's still God of War, but it's not, oh yeah, here's Kratos and Atreus and stuff again. I'm curious how this is going to play into the story, because if she does indeed go back, I guess this would work in after Ragnarok. And so again, I'm intrigued, and probably even more so than if this happened before God of War 2018, which is kind of the speculation that was going around leading up to this. So I'm on board. I think the game looks awesome. And I'm looking forward to it when it does end up releasing. I'm thinking 2027. So that Intergalactic, and then maybe a couple of other games thrown in there, so they have their one big game per quarter or something that I'd like to think they're going to try to close out this generation with. But overall, looking up and down the list of different titles, again, very third-party heavy, of course, for Sony. But the ones that the first-party games they had were certainly bright spots in this presentation here. And all I'm looking at now is, man, that end of September, first half of October time period, it's going to get crowded. There's going to be a lot of stuff to play, and it's going to be interesting as we head towards, of course, the big Grand Theft Auto 6 reveal, and like with gameplay and just the next big trailer. It's going to be something else. But let me know what you guys thought about this presentation down below. I'm kind of in like the C plus B territory. I think I would have liked to have seen one other big surprise from Sony, even if it was more nostalgia driven, like, hey, we are doing an Ape Escape, or we are doing a Sly Cooper, or that Infamous stuff going around. We are remastering them. Just something else to kind of bolster that lineup, because otherwise it's like, okay, Until Dawn 2, okay, more God of War, and then Wolverine, which we kind of already knew about, and then Marvel Tokon as XDev is doing that. But yeah, like that C plus B territory. But let me know what you guys thought about the presentation down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.